I was an autistic kid. My father was a drafted United States Marine, an incredible man. I come from an incredible family. My uncle stood on Omaha Beach on D-Day. I grew up on a huge ranch out by the lake. He was a beautiful, incredible person. He was at Pendleton, combat ready, and they were human guinea pig. They were marched into the trenches in Nevada. They're called atomic veterans. He nearly died at the blast. Between 1951 and 1968, we had 300 open-air tests. Well, as different scientists started to write about this, Wallace Stegner was at the University of Utah at the time. I got to know him. Edward Abbey was hanging around there. I got to know him.
I'm here.
I got to know all these environmentalists, and I was an environmentalist. And it was a passionate, intense subject matter there.
All nuclear fighters, all
hey, they're all the cover up.
All hands on deck, all hands on deck. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. Plume Day, 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. Plume Day, 311, whatever you want.
Yeah, they left all the military personnel there, but not only that.
It's fucking giant conspiratorial across
Let it
all
go on.
demographics.
But some of them have that. They let
God have mercy on all of your
nuclear
souls.
madness that they can
Nuclear
handle
power
it.
was evolving. We were promised, oh, this can't happen. It will never happen. We cannot have a meltdown.
No, they maybe could have. They could have entombed it. Well, good morning, Lloyd. We have a bombshell broke last night. This is the biggest freaking bombshell in the whole freaking Mad Men's Gone Amok. The United States nuclear cartel is running this show. What a bombshell. You know I got invited to the Snowden symposium in Park City. I got invited to ask a question. And I've done direct videos right to Snowden. Now, my post-ignorance army, you can deny my work all you want. I'm sitting here with my uncle here, who was at the Pentagon, who actually was a liaison at Japan. You know, he's high brass from the old Air Force. So I went to the screening last night of the Snowden movie. Snowden, you know, the CIA co-op that he is. You know that it's me who's been reporting from day one that he was in Japan. Now, Oliver Stone exposes this. Get this. So Oliver Stone's movie, it's not Hollywood. It's basically a documentary. That's all it is. It's pretty dry. There's nothing sensational. It's a straight-ass documentary. It's unlike anything he's ever done before, really, besides maybe the history of America. You can see the spin there. But, you know, to be honest with you, Andrew Bezos and I, who worked together on Fukushima Beach, originally is much better than this movie as far as watching it, but it lays it out. He puts it out there. So stay with me on this. This is incredibly important. I hope Jules can tag this and post this, and I hope everybody can get it recorded because something will probably happen to me. My side will probably get whacked after all this. So I'm the one that said Snowden Sound before anybody who knew Snowden Sound was. Our post-partners are the ones who exposed that that's where he was at. Where was Snowden Sound in 2010, 2011, the winter of 2010 and 2011? We know he was in Japan. We know he was running a CIA fucking operation. We know his parents were CIA. We know his wife's parents were CIA. This whole story that he was just going to be a Special Forces gung-ho guy is total bullshit. I grew up in a Special Forces family. My father was a Special Forces guy. My uncle on Omaha Beach on D-Day, the whole family of them. These were physical, athletic, Pat Tillman types. Edward Snowden, look at him. He's no athlete. I mean, he's skinny freaking with a giant brain. Yeah. Techie that's amazing. Oh, yeah. His parents, he was placed in the CIA because that's the way it works, through his parents. His wife says it in the movie. They go out, the protesters run away. She says, don't bullshit me. I know you're CIA because I'm CIA. The whole family is. They're all CIA. So they were in Japan. Now, we know the Yalta Treaty was totally run. So here's the bombshell that Oliver Stone exposes exactly what Kevin Blanch has been saying from day one. He exposes it in the movie. He says, point blank, Oliver Stone, point blank in the movie, Edward Snowden was running the CIA program, they have placed all over the world to blow nuclear reactors. They have them in China, they have them all over, which we've been screaming that. Ramone, myself, we've been screaming it for decades. So, he says point blank, Snowden was running the CIA program to blow the grid in Japan. That's what he says. You won't believe me. Maybe you believe Oliver Stone. Maybe. He says it point blank in the movie. Then he shows footage of nuclear. Well, we know the power grid in freaking Japan is nuclear, right? They told us it was 70% of the nuclear grid, which is all a total lie anyway. 48 reactors offline, no rolling blackouts. We know it's an experiment over there. It's been an experiment since the day before we dropped Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We know that was nothing but bombs to flex their dick against freaking, we know what that whole thing was. Oppenheimer, Frank exposed all that. So, anyway, then it goes on. Now get this. I've been accusing the NSA and the CIA and Snowden. I've been accusing him from day one of being the guy who ran the cover-up of Fukushima. Get this. The movie exposes it. So, he resigns. Now, you think how magic this is. He's running the program, this IT genius. They paint him out to be this IT guru genius with the highest, fastest IT brain in history, which we know that's not true because we know that honor belonged to Aaron Swartz. We know what they did to Aaron Swartz. By the way, they did that to Aaron Swartz on January 11th, the very same day my father was freaking died. Aaron Swartz died. I was in Williamsburg the day Aaron Swartz fucking died. I was there, right out of the bone marrow transplant center. Which is, by the way, the same day, January 11th, that Alexander Hamilton was born, as I do my lectures at his grave. So, anyway, I'll get my Uncle Claude to say a few words about this, but I wanted to lay this out. So, he resigns magically, according to the movie. This is the narrative they put out. Now, do I trust Oliver Stone? About halfway. Do I trust Edward Snowden? About 20%. I mean, the whole thing stinks to high heaven to me because they're the new celebrity conspiracy theorists, right? Right? Is this all about fucking selling movies, selling books? I mean, he shows up. So, anyway, the movie's, it's good. It's a documentary. It lays it out. It's unlike anything he's ever done before. And so, in the movie, it says just what Kevin Blanch has theorized, hypothesized, been leaked to me, and if you don't believe me, Your Honor, play the tape back. 2,000 videos. I've said all this, and why? Because I was screaming and yelling the day it happened. They're lying, because I grew up and I watched them murder my father. I watched them give me, the whole fucking thing. So, in the movie, after he resigns, they magically develop a program in the old bunker in Hawaii. Now, how many times has Kevin Blanch said that? They're running the cover-up of Fukushima from Hawaii. So they say he's running the cover-up, and it's a program they call Heartbeat, that he came up with the name, Heartbeat, Operation Heartbeat, to just take IP addresses out from China. Bullshit. We know the first video I did, they're dumping plutonium into the Pacific Ocean. I did it on April 4th. We know that video because we have screen captures at 107,000 views. YouTube's admitting it to me. We pulled all your views off that you... And that thing was being pushed on Facebook like there was no other. Glenn Holden-Berry, every social activist in the world was pushing that thing. And then all of a sudden it's got 11,000. We know they went after us. They know that they freaking teamed me up. They've admitted it. So we know it, bro. So we know the Snowden knows. He knows the whole cover-up of Fukushima. That's what they were doing. Look what they did. I'm going to get leukemia, then I get leukemia. Look at the tortilla they tried to me in with Talco. He had an Energy Solutions hat on when I got there. I mean, they've been going after me like a wolf. So, wow, you wouldn't believe me. Maybe this is a bombshell. This is the bombshell. He says point blank that Edward Snowden, and now we know Greenwald he dumped everything to Greenwald, and he supposedly deleted everything he had and just handed it to Greenwald. Do I trust Greenwald? Fuck no. I went to the University of Utah and tried to talk to Greenwald. He wouldn't talk to me. He spoke. Look, they detained his boyfriend at Lockheed. We know what that's all about. He's a coward. We know he's a coward. We know the Guardian are cowards. We know they have it. They know they want... Look, they released an article yesterday calling Yoko Ono Her Majesty. She's connected to the Japanese royal family. We know that he's afraid. We know that they're not going to release him because they'll kill him. They'll whack him. They'll probably whack me like they did my dad. But it doesn't matter because the story's already out there. They suppressed my view count. They went after me like a freaking wolf. We know that. We know it for a fact. We know that Snowden knows now. I know that he knows. He was in Japan, come on, running it right before it blew. He comes home, and you wouldn't believe me. This is Stone's words. Now, this goes clear back to my father. My father was a drafted Marine. I come from a military family. Well, they're not lifetime. Well, my uncle's a lifetime military guy, fighter pilot. His younger brother, the athlete. He's sitting right here with me. But the older brother, Omaha Beach D-Day guy, who snuck out in the middle of the night and volunteered when everybody else in the community dodged the draft in World War. Not him. He just passed. On Omaha Beach, in the Battle of the Bulge. This is the type of guys that I come from. This is the family. My father was drafted in 51. They took him, got him combat ready, took him in the night to the Nevada test site. Not blew him once, blew him twice. He told me before he died, as he was dying of leukemia like they all died, he told me straight up, he didn't even know what happened to him the second time, could see his hands through everything, woke up in a hospital in San Diego a month later with his tonsils cut out. Well, we know for a fact that they cut all their tonsils out. This is the freaking Livermore freaking experiment gone amok, which is Fukushima, which is the CIA, which is the NSA. I'll let my uncle talk a little bit about this, what he saw when he was at the Pentagon. He was highbrow. He's right here. I'm going to, we'll get this recorded history. And your fainting ghost can do whatever you want with it, just so it's out there. Here.
Hello, this is Claude.
Go ahead, just talk.
Yes. Well, of course, Dwayne was, Kevin's father was 4 years older than myself, and he was drafted into the Marines in the Korean War time. And he said he went through training. Then they were given orders to Korea, and they put him on a ship and took him to sea for 6 or 7 days. And then they offloaded him in the middle of the night. And when they found out where they're at, they were deployed around Airburst 1 in the Nevada desert. And they were in trenches about 1,000 yards back from ground zero. So the blast goes off, and they were told that not to worry about nuclear radiation. All I had to do was take a shower. Well, nuclear shower will get rid of the beta rays, but it doesn't even do anything to gamma rays, which just pass right through you. So after the blast had settled down, they were marched forward toward ground zero with people with monitoring equipment until it got so nuclear hot that they stopped and retreated. Then they were taken back to Pendleton, where they then spent about 6 months at Pendleton recovering and training. All of the equipment in the Airburst 1 that was deployed for a brigade, they tried to decontaminate it, and couldn't. He told me it was all taken to sea and dumped in the ocean. That's what they did with it. So up comes the second Airburst. They were deployed about a mile back from ground zero. They were just in their combat uniforms and gear and coats and helmets and gloves. And the desert's not exactly flat, so they'd find a spot that would give them some protection. And they were just laying exposed on the surface. When the burst goes off, he's laying face down, looking through his gloves, and he said he could see every bone in his hands was the level of radiation. And you've seen the blast where the white buildings char, turn into fire, and then they're blown away. That was Airburst 2. So they recover from this blast where they're rolled around like bowling pins on the desert floor. And then again they were marched forward. And during the march forward, they passed a cage that was built above ground, iron bar cage. And he said there was 30 or 40 men in that cage that were just wandering around, some of them sitting in the process of dying. And same thing, they got in to where it was too hot and they came back out. Then I spent time at the Pentagon, 1976, 79, and I spent considerable time trying to chase down some records of that. And everything was secret sealed, doesn't exist. They're all cut off. But in that search, I saw the photograph of the cage with the men in it. I personally saw that photograph in the military files. So then Dwayne was one of my really good friends and buddies, and he was a super good athlete. When he came out of the Marines, he couldn't walk 100 yards. He'd have to sit down and rest, is how much they damaged him. And then, like Kevin's told you, he ended up dying of acute melanoma leukemia, which you only get from nuclear radiation. And the doctors, toward the end of his life, determined that he had lots of dead nerves in his left side, which was the side that was exposed to the blast. Okay, I'll give you back to Kevin.
So this is a first-hand account of one of the most decorated fighter pilots in the history of the country. You know, this is a guy that, you know, was probably one of the most famous athletes that ever come out of this county. He went in as a fighter pilot. You know, had a lot of clout, a lot of, you know.
Yes, I was the director of operations for North American Air Defense.
Well, tell them that. Tell them your background.
Yeah, what Kevin was saying, I was the director of operations for North American Air Defense from 1981 to 83.
He was the number 2 shirt at Colorado Springs. What about your intel work in Japan, Claude? With Japan? Here, talk about that.
I was the air advisor to the Japanese Air Force, 1970 to 73. And in my desk was a little file that had 3 separate files, and they were CIA officers operating in Japan, in a country which we swore that we had no such kind of operations. And if any telephone call, any message came in, I answered those as if I was that individual.
So there you go. So we know. So Oliver Stone says, and we can question Oliver Stone's credibility? I don't think so. Can we question his integrity? I don't think so. Not after Platoon. Now, JFK, that was a hypothesis of a book that he based that on. He did a lot of things, natural born killers, all these things. Those are different hypotheses. But Platoon is no hypothesis. He was actually there. This, to me, is the Platoon. Now, if you go see the movie, and you'll be able to see it, hasn't opened yet. They had the Phantom, special screening, which 20 people go in Ogden. I was there. I tried to get everybody to go. I'm like, this is, by the way, in Theater 11. You can't make it up. I was stunned. Now, I know everything there is to know about this, right? Because I've ate, slept, and drank it from the day it happened. But the one thing I did not know, I knew Snowden was in Japan. I knew that he came home right before Fukushima blew. I had my hypothesis, what he was up to over there. I've always had my hypothesis who this guy really is. Now, my theory, and I hope Snowden can address this. Of course, he's sitting there with Putin, who I know because I was in Vienna, and the people I sat with, I sat in the same cafe, the exact same cafe that Trotsky, Lenin, Stalin, all of them hid in Russia. I mean, the history repeats that I sat with political activists from Russia that are hiding because Austria's the only one that protects them. Believe it or not, they're the only one. And so what's her name? I'm trying to, I'll butcher the Russian names. The incredible oncologist, Mayak. Mayak's the military dump, the plutonium dump in 1957 that blew in Russia that the United States, covered up. We knew the nuclear cartel. She's been exposed. She's an oncologist. Incredible one. She takes care of all these people and exposing this thing. She just 2 years ago has been chased out of Russia. She's with 5 children. She's hiding in Paris, last I heard, from Putin. She says Putin is actively trying to kill her. Now we know, so he's in Moscow. Putin gives you thing, and I know he can't talk. He says one thing, Putin doesn't even plutonium you like they do here. They polonium you. We know that. Is Putin Nikolai's bloodlines? I believe that he is. He is a czar. The monarchy's back in Russia. His net worth is estimated between 40 and 60 billion. Look at his new house he built on there. He patterned it after Versailles. The royals got it all back. This is the monarchy. This is the return. So, this is no hypothesis. But when he comes out, I almost fell out of my... I mean, I had tears in my eyes when Oliver Stone said, and he even showed footage of a nuclear reactor in the movie and said, what was he doing there? He was running the program that they have set up all over the world, which we've known that. Lauren and myself have worked on that for decades. I've been ranting and raving about that. That's what cost me my academia career at the University of Electric. They took my PhD, they took my MBA, they scripted it, they turned it into Chinese oligarchy. That they have these freaking nuclear reactors wired all over the world to blow them anytime they want. You get out of line, these guys are just going to blow your nuclear reactors. Now, did they blow the nuclear reactors at Fukushima, Japan? I will quote Lawrence's grandson to me at the Sound Opera hearing. He's a genius, by the way. Kevin. And you can look it up because it's in public domain because he spoke at the Omni Sound Opera. He spoke, a couple after I spoke. And he, which is public domain. He said, this is his grandson. He says, this madman, psychopath, schizophrenic, paranoid, high IQ, insane madman who ran this nuclear cartel out of Cal Berkeley, the Russell Trust, these madmen, he says, were total paranoid freaks. He says not only did they build the nuclear reactors in Japan, full knowing well why they built them there, for this very said reason, so if they ever got out of hand, they could blow them anytime they wanted. Why do you think they're trying to build them up in China right now and in Russia? And by the way, people can say I'm crazy, but I still say Teller's last crowning jewel. And I pissed on Teller's grave. I know where that, they hide where he's buried. I know where he's buried. And so, remember, I was in Budapest last year. That's where he's from. So, remember this. How did Chernobyl really go? How did Mayak really go? I still say that it was an early cyber program by the U.S. that blew Chernobyl. It was Teller's finding crowning jewel. What was Teller's last statement before he died? He was asked. This is Dr. Scheer, who I know personally. There's photographs of me and Dr. Scheer, who's a genius, who's still teaching at USC. I don't know how. Who was in the hot room, the famous LA Times reporter, who's the greatest professor I ever saw in my life. This guy will throw chalk, go crazy. The greatest dissertation I ever saw was at the Haldecott Symposium. And who was I sitting with at the Haldecott Symposium for 2 days? The only 2 people that were there the entire thing. Well, I should say 4. Thomas Ackerman, Kevin Finnegan, Patrick McCormick missed out part of him. Well, he showed up a little late on the one day. Shane Russell was there most of the time. And Noam Chomsky. I sat with Noam the whole time. Helen Caldecott told me I could not speak. Helen didn't even go to her whole thing. So Maui waited till Helen was gone and then put my question up. Because Helen refused to let me speak. I sat with Noam the whole time. Dr. Scheer went into detail about this in the hot room at Teller. Teller's crowning jewel. He says the last statement he made before he died, and he said this over and over and over and over and over, I don't give a fuck how bad I radiated the Earth. Well, you poisoned the Earth with your nuclear fucking mad science. I mean, remember, Mulholland, you named the dam in L.A. after Mulholland. Remember his first dam blew up and killed how many people? Teller wanted to make dams, wanted to make roads with nuclear bombs. He wanted to use nuclear industrial. He was a madman. He was insane. This is coming right from Lawrence's freaking son. And Dr. Scheer, who was right in the hot room with him. Dr. Scheer knew him personally. Top surveillance you're supposed to have. He says, I used to walk in, they would sit up there in the hot room at Livermore running this madman show in Japan with their feet, bringing star power to Earth. His last statement was this, I don't give a fuck how bad he didn't say fuck. I don't care how bad I radiated the Earth. I don't care how many people I gave cancer. I don't care how many people I eugenicized. I don't care. As long as I stop them fucking Russians. Prussians, he called them. That's what he said. That's what he said. He was a madman. This is the guy that wanted to put the nuclear tips on Star Wars. That was Teller. He was still running the show, like Kissinger's still running the show. Now, remember, Hillary went to Fukushima, Japan. April 17th. There's no doubt in my mind she's got thyroid issues. How could you not? Now, this is coming right from the USS Reagan trial. Now, this all falls full circle. Now, I'm the only one there in 2013. I'm full of leukemia. I knew how important this was, and my view count's being squashed. I'm being gone after, and I had plenty of emails telling me this. Kevin, I'm inside the NSA. Kevin, I'm inside the CIA. Kevin, I have this. Kevin, I have that. This is what happened in the situation. This is Kevin, because I'm the only one screaming this. You know how many emails I was getting a day? How could I go through it and know which one was real and which one were? I mean, how could I possibly, I'm full of critical condition, dying of leukemia. See, on my deathbed. Given no chance to live, which they gave me leukemia before I was born. It's unarguable now, the children of the atomic vets. We know. This has been an orchestrated cover-up through the media. Now, we know Greenwald has all this. Why would Greenwald not report it? In the movie, it shows them in the hotel in Hong Kong, in detail. Their great work. You know, her, the great camera. I mean, her powerful power. I mean, how powerful is she? I mean, she's a powerhouse. How many times do you think she's been threatened? She says it right in the movie, I've been threatened 47 times in 47 different countries. You know? Now think about what's her name, the famous, I think she was the greatest journalist we had. They used to have wear the patch over her eye. Do you think that's a surprise? She was droned to death in Syria. She was killed. You think about it. Okay, Michael Hastings, the great journalist who was exposing all this. You know, you've ever read that Rolling Stone article? He was over there. He was killed. What? How about I am Pat fucking Tillman? That was his last words. When I say that, don't you get that? Pat Tillman's last words. What are you doing? I am Pat fucking. This comes right from the young man standing next, who was an 18-year-old, who's chirping. Now the guy comes out on Outside the Lines 10 years later and says, I think I killed Pat Tillman, my old man, when they grandstand and waved his body like a flag. This guy was going to expose this whole thing. This freaking unjust bullshit freaking war on terrorism. Snowden says it in the movie. He calls it right here in Utah. He talks about the CIA in Utah and the Mormon Church and how they've been controlled and how that's why they use them. And he calls it it was called the repository. You know, we're supposed to be anti-Big Brother in Utah. I don't think so. Mike Lee, CIA rat. It's unarguable. Orrin Hatch, CIA rat. Unarguable. You know, I can prove all this, which I have. And everybody says, well, the story will never get told because Greenwald ain't going to say nothing now. Been threatened? No, his boyfriend was threatened. He ain't going to say nothing. I can tell you that right now. Hassan ain't going to say nothing. They've had him in that cage long enough. He's doing interviews with Fox News and CNN, dancing with them, the drummed up bullshit charges in the Swedes. And you go to Denmark, and in Denmark, they'll tell you, the Swedes still play nuclear ball. Remember, it was the Swedes who let Hitler through into Russia, not the Norwegians, not the Danes. That's how my family got here. Why? Because the Prussians killed them again. You know, these young women had children because the men were all dead. The Prussians killed them for the 30th time. That's what they do. You know, and so Putin, he's a madman. He's a nuclear fucking madman. So is Trump. So Hillary, oh my God, please. These are Hillary Westinghouse Clinton. So she orchestrates the cover-up to her own demise. I mean, so they go. Now, why would they consult Kissinger? It goes right back to Ogden, Utah. Who is Kissinger's protege? Look it up. Brent Scowcroft. I know Brent Scowcroft personally. I stuccoed his house. I know the whole family personally. Because I'm old freaking Ogdenite bloodlines. As old as they get. I was here first. Our family was here before even they were here. Those Scots. Scowcroft was in the plane at 9/11? Really? You know, the plane, what is it, the HR Fort whatever, the one that's always in the air? Who was in it when 9/11 happened? What, Brent Scowcroft? Henry Kissinger's still alive? Henry Kissinger, who has bench warrants in like 122 countries for his arrest, for his war crimes in Vietnam? That guy? He was going to go to Hillary's emails. I have to consult Henry Kissinger before I go. Last person she talks to before she goes, Kissinger? What? Then she goes. Now remember, this isn't when Caroline Kennedy, he sent her in. Caroline Kennedy on the 50th anniversary of her father's funeral. Where's she at? Fukushima, Japan? With her son. So Obama played her too, didn't he? But we're talking the first month. Now we know from the USS Reagan trial, I know because I'm the only one there. Now Libby's done great work, Havilay. She's been there 2014 on. You know, she's been reporting there. She lives in L.A. I live in Utah. I have to fly down there, and the Bowmar took all my money. I have to rely on public donations, which the trolls and the rats have fucking orchestrated a campaign against me to try to block any funding I can get. Well, fuck it, I'll hitchhike. I don't give a fuck. I'll sleep on a fucking beach, which I've done in critical condition. You know, I'm a little healthier now. I ain't got no problem sleeping on the beach. So, inside the Discovery, Now, this could be confirmed by Bonner and his son, and Paul, which I talked to. So, multiple times. I'm the only one there. White shirts all over me. You wouldn't believe the freaking, Lori can testify to this. There's plenty of people that can testify that are there with me. So they say, here's the Admiral on the USS Reagan. Now, by the way, I stood right in front of the USS Reagan, did videos saying they're having a Little League sleepover camp on the Reagan. You know how hot the Reagan is? And I'm telling, don't take your kids on there. Don't take. The San Diego Chargers practiced on it. This is the cover-up. This is how they don't care. They're insane. So she goes to Japan. Inside Discovery, that's why this case is so big now. That's why John Edwards has got involved. He smells money. This is John Edwards, the tort attorney on Philip Morris. You know how much money he made on that freaking case? These attorneys tell me, I talked to them all. They've told me straight up, Kevin, this will dwarf anything. So General Electric, which I've done all my work at the University of General Electric. Weber State is the University of General Electric. They built the reactors at Fukushima. They were flawed, which has been the whistleblowers that came forward. That's why Janice, in the court, opened it up against GE. GE's been liquidating their entire portfolio. When I was in Geneva, that's what they were doing. That's what I was protesting. I was protesting at the World Health Organization. You saw the videos. Not only did they chase me out of the World Health Organization, they followed me all through Geneva and fucking put me on a train and kicked me out of the fucking city. It's unarguable fact. I was with Freedom Eisenblower, the greatest anti-nuclear activist in the world on the 200th anniversary of water. You cannot make it up. She's dead now. I was the last person with her, the greatest anti-nuclear activist in history. She told me, they're going to come after you like a wolf, Kevin. They're going after you now. So Hillary goes there. So in the Discovery, it says, when we were parked up next to the reactor on the Reagan, which was 32 ships, and the Admiral wanted all 800,000 military personnel evacuated, he ordered that. Operation Tamagotchi, which means friendly. They didn't know. These sailors didn't know. They didn't sign up for this, just like my dad. They didn't know. How could they know? So they take them in there, and the military ain't going to stick up for them. You can read what they've said. What has the United States Navy said? They've said the military personnel on the Reagan is shit. There's already 8 of them dead. I was in the bone marrow transplant with one. There's already at least, this is just the ones that have filed suit out of the 400. There's probably hundreds of them dead out of the 32 ships. 800,000 military personnel over there. They all got hammered. And so he says, we're parked up next to ship. The background readings were showing 200 to 300 times. And the Navy has the best detection rating. They have vessels, that's all they do, is nuclear mitigation. They have the best readings. They're the only ones that have all the readings in the world. And I know for a fact they know they have them all over in the Pacific Ocean, which is killing the Pacific Ocean, which is genociding the Pacific Ocean. They know. But the commander-in-chief, that's the only power he has, is the President of the United States. Speak out. You'll go to Leavenworth. And so they went in. He said the reading was 200 to 300 times, so they backed out 25 miles immediately. He says they were still 200 to 300 times. We were getting readings between 100 and 300 times, consistent. Boom, 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 boom. So then in Discovery, he says they backed out 100 nautical miles, still reading between 30 and 200. Boom, 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 boom. He knows. He orders the scrub down, the foam scrub down. He orders them to strip things, to shower, to take iodine. They did all the same bullshit. And then just go in the cover up. Then they back out 200 nautical miles. He says, this is in Discovery in the trial, in Discovery in the early stages, as they keep appealing, the appeal. 200 nautical miles, he says, we're still getting readings 30 times what's safe for a freaking individual. Still, 200. This proves Ken Buser's lies. This proves all the lies. It's not hurting anyone. They have the data. They know it. This is all an orchestrated cover-up which was being run by Edward Snowden in Hawaii. Connect these fucking dots. It's real simple. So here he is, which Oliver Stone is saying what I hypothesized. Now, I knew for a fact he was there. I know for a fact he was placed inside the CIA as a cyber guru. That's what they were trying to prep Aaron Swartz for. Same background as Aaron Swartz, high school dropouts, geniuses. Aaron Swartz was not about to play ball with them. They propped him up, gave him the fellowship at Harvard and freaking Yale. That's what they do to these young, brilliant guys. They did the same thing to Snowden. Snowden's parents were going through a divorce. Snowden turned to the Internet. He became an Internet guru. I mean, I think it's probably true that he could go through this stuff faster than anyone. He was like Aaron Swartz, but he was green as grass. He was ignorant and naive. He didn't realize that they'd put him in that place just because of his parents and his IT skills. It wasn't, oh, he was physically an athlete. I mean, this kid can't walk and chew gum. Athlete, look at him. I mean, he's going through special forces training. This kid has trouble doing a pull-up. He's not got the body. He has the brain. Well, in special forces, you have to have the brain and the body. Ask Pat Tillman. So he was placed. That's what they were doing because they knew they were trying to build their cyber freaking thing to stay out front. He was so good, he was smarter than they were because he was young like Aaron Swartz. So he could just dig through stuff, and so then they started using him. He didn't know he was being used. And this is his own words. Snowden will admit this. They were just using him, just playing him. And so they placed him into this program, so they sent him to Japan. I don't think he even knew that he was up to wiring. Now, we have FOIA documents that say, did we cause that? Did they cause the tsunami? I don't know. But I will quote again, it's Lawrence's grandson. When they built the reactors at Japan, they knew the tsunami. When they built them at Diablo Canyon, when they built them at Snananafri, they knew eventually an earthquake and a tsunami would take them out. They knew it. GE cheated. They knew it. They knew it. And they sat back and waited. He says that they all, I'm sure they're all sitting back, why did it take so long? Tsunamis happen. Why would you build nuclear reactors on the island of fucking Japan when you have tsunamis there to devastate Japan? It was a payback. That's exactly what it was. Not even only a pay by Israel. Oh, no. You could spin all this. It was Israel. That bullshit. No, this was the United States CIA, madman, Livermore rats gone amok. Just like lab routing their own Marines in the Nevada test site. Snowden was running it. He comes home right before it happens. Now, did he know they were going to blow it? Did they blow it? I don't know. Is it a coincidence? I don't know. But we know that that's what he was running. And we know that they have these nuclear reactors wired all over the world. And that's why they put, this is nothing. In eugenics, look up John Holdren. I want you to just Google John Holdren. He's head of the science and technology team for the Obama administration. He was named the Secretary of State as soon as Obama was elected, long before Fukushima happened. He's the Livermore freaking head of the snake, the Russell Trust, which took the agricultural culture at Cal Berkeley. Ask Miko Kako when they threatened him. He's a eugenicist. He wrote his PhD on eugenics. He's wrote books about overpopulating the bet. You know they've always wanted to use nuclear radiation for eugenicists. They've always wanted to do that. I mean, they've been doing it from day one. You know, the experimentation, that's what, these are madmen. These are crazy. This is Einstein's words, not mine. These are freaking Oppenheimer's words, not mine. Look what they did to Oppenheimer. He's like, these fuckers are out of control. They're fucking madmen. He was a peace activist, so look what they did to Oppenheimer. And in Berkeley, still grandstands him like he's all that. When look what they did. Look what they did to John Gottman. I knew John Gottman. Look what they did to him. So now they're playing Snowden. Now, or who's playing who? So then he comes, he resigns. He says in the movie, I just resigned. And then he goes into his wife. Oh, his wife's just this naive. His wife ain't no naive. His wife's in the movie. Klein says, don't lie to me, Edward Snowden. You're trying to tell me you work for the State Department? You're CIA. How do I know? Because I am. Our whole family, everybody I grew up with, everybody in our whole community works for the CIA. Come on, you ain't fooling me. Because she was. Takes one to know one. She knew. So then he comes home and supposedly resigns. Works in the revolving door, he says. The corruption of Washington, D.C. that's evolved. Then, magically, he shows up in Hawaii when we know that was the heart of the cover-up. 2013, when it blew up again. By the way, and I have the footage of when it blew up again. While I was at the Reagan proceedings in the summer of 2013, I'm in San Diego by myself, being harassed by police like you would never see, on my own. Everybody abandoned me, you know. He gets placed for, he invented the program, they said. They says, it's called Heartbeat. He invented it. Now, did he know that it was going to be used for the cover-up of Fukushima to go after people like me? I don't know. But I know he knows. And now I know for sure Greenwald knows. They know, and so do I. And everybody says it'll never get told. I already got told. Kevin Blanch told it from day one. 2,000 videos. You don't want to believe me. Maybe you believe Oliver Stone now, huh? They were running the cover-up of Fukushima. They squashed my view counts. Now, somebody obviously inside the United States has been protecting me because they haven't crashed my site, but they sure squashed view counts. They sure teed me up all over. They've paid rats. Look at the freaking videos about me, these lies that are all over. They slandered to a guy's in critical condition, full of AML leukemia, fighting for my life with no money. Tried to disconnect my GoFundMe. That was successful. All my funding's completely stopped, dried up. Michelle Grant's the last one, even sent me any money, and I get a little bit of a few people here, $50, 50 there. Not enough that I'd still survive. I'll make it. I got a hitchhike down there. So you wouldn't believe me. Maybe you believe freaking Oliver Stone. Now you think about this. That's coincidence that Snowden was in Japan. And Oliver Stone says, point blank, he was running. The movie claims that he's the smartest IT guy in the world. That's what they say. Is he? I think he was pretty good. I think that belongs to Aaron Swartz, but they killed him. It doesn't matter if he hung himself or they hung him. You can give him 35 years for what? For just downloading a PhDs from MIT? That's all he did. They should be transparent anyway. Look what they did to me. They took my PhD. But my PhD, a real PhD, you have to do the work. What have I done? The Great Pacific Genocide. I walked from Mexico to San Francisco, off and on in 4 chunks on the beach, sleeping on me. That's a PhD, proving this freaking knowledge. I hypothesize the knowledge, then you got to do the work, and then you defend your work, right? Isn't that what we do? We defend our work? That's what artists do. That's what real PhDs, you have to defend your work. Who have I had to defend my work to the world? I mean, it's pretty outrageous that I told this truth. And the black and yellow media whores that played along. Think about this. They interviewed me. I've been interviewed by hundreds of media, including PBS, multiple times. So none of them ever show up. RT's interviewed me so many times, they'll put up my stuff. You go to the Uncut Chronicles for the Million Mouse March, that's all me through there. But yet they won't put up anything on Fukushima with me. Same with here with KSL. Same with KUTV. Same with all of them here. Governor Herbert will verify all this. And he knows because I've talked to him multiple times. Mike Lee, the only person in the world who was asked a United States politician point blank, why are you covering up Fukushima? Is me. You can look it up on YouTube to Mike Lee. Oh, I'm friends with Wyden. Wyden went to Fukushima. Now, here's the irony of the movie. They only show one politician footage. One politician in the Senate hearings on this. Guess who they put up? Wyden. Ron Wyden from Oregon, who I've drilled and drilled and drilled and drilled. He won't even talk to me anymore. He went to Fukushima, remember? He'll probably end up with cancer, too. He went to Fukushima a couple months later and says, we need a worldwide effort to entomb it, to go after it, to do it, blah, 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 and he grants it, and then all of a sudden he just shut up. Barbara Boxer was head of the committee. He was head of the committee. Then all of a sudden, Barbara Boxer will admit, she'll tell you straight up. She's told. Her staff told me right to my face. We were threatened. She says Allison McFarland, head of the NRC, which I've drilled Allison McFarland right at San Juan Capistrano. Allison didn't even know I was going to show up. Allison saw me. You should have seen her eyeballs. She knows. She knows she had to lie. She had to lie. That's what they'll tell you. We had to lie. The media will tell you, well, they threatened us. We had to lie. Greenwald can't say nothing now. They'll kill him. Can Snout say anything? Nope, they'll kill him. Ask Michael Hastings. I am Pat fucking Tim. Will they guac me? Don't matter now because I already told it. It's 2000. It's all over out there. How many eyeballs saw my videos? They can pull back the view count, but we're talking. My uncle's a neurosurgeon. He was in China. He told me. Well, his secretary told me. He was asked about me in China. Are you related to Kevin Blanch? Why? Well, don't you know he's the Fukushima guy? What? He didn't know. He says, you're famous. I says, yeah, poor and famous. They'll put it on my fucking tombstone. Like they did the rest of them. So we battle on. This is a bombshell. You'll see. Oliver Stone, you wouldn't believe me. Maybe you'll believe him. Did they blow it? I don't know. But we know that's what the nuclear industry is. And I've said it for years. The nuclear industry is not here to make energy. They actually take more electricity to run a nuclear energy plant than they produce. That's a fact. They have to keep the spent fuel pools cool. So why would they possibly be there? Money and control. Exactly. Why do you think they push them globally? It's their weapon. It's their plan. They've always had this. The military's always known this. That's why they freaking dropped the freaking 2 bombs in Japan to show Russia, boom, 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 and Russia knows this too. Why do you think they fight Westinghouse? Now, by the way, you do know that, I call her Hillary Westinghouse Clinton, stood in Czechoslovakia, they have a leaking reactor. I was there. I was there in Prague. And she said, she threatened the president in public, the head of the State Department, her last duty. It said, she used the word Westinghouse multiple times. I thought Westinghouse was not a government entity. She's a government. She's the top dog. She says, you will give the contract to Westinghouse and break it with the Russian firm over and over. How many times she said it? The MOX fuel they brought back, there was MOX fuel all over in Japan. The Oliver Stone footage he shows, I believe, is Diani. I'm not positive, which was a MOX fuel plant, which is in total meltdown over there. It's not just the Fukushima Daiichi, it's Fukushima Diani, too. We had a live cam on that one. This has been nothing but a cover-up. And here's what I truly believe, and you can say I'm crazy on this. I believe Snowden is being used as a diversionary tactic, just like the Benghazi emails were, just like the birther issue was in Obama. I think it's all cover-up of Fukushima, the greatest event in history. The Pacific, I mean, think about it. The Pacific Ocean's dying. I'm the one screaming that the tadpoles will die. The salmon have collapsed. Everything's collapsed post-Fukushima. You know what a major event we're talking? So was Snowden being played? I mean, he showed up on 60 Minutes. I think he's being played because they know that he could completely blow this, which Oliver Stone just did, which I already did. So, is he being played? I believe he is. I believe this is all shiny ball stuff because he don't say to, get the narrative off Fukushima and put the narrative on the surveillance, which it is, which we know it's all surveillance of everybody and everything. You cannot hide. He proves it in the movie. You'll see when you see the movie. You'll say, oh my God, Kevin Blanch was telling the truth the whole fucking time. Because people were sending me emails. Because look, I was the only one screaming and yelling this. I was going crazy, and people inside the NSA, inside the CIA, they're not all bad. And they can all get cancer. The Emperor of Japan has had to step down for the first time in 200 years. Yeah, they still have emperors. Hirohito was not taken out after World War II. Why? Nuremberg. Wow. How come he was left standing? He was the guy that baton death march smacked Marines in the back of the head, mass murder, not the people. Firebombed every village. Those bombs were hideous. They were evil. How come they let him stand? Well, the emperor has resigned. Now, you do know Yoko Ono is related to the emperor. And of all people, the Guardian come out yesterday or the day before and called her Her Majesty. You going to trust the Guardian? I think Greenwald did his job as much as he could possibly do. Is he a coward? Well, I don't know. I call him a coward, but what's the alternative? Death? Self-killing. Look what they did to Julian Assange. Drummed up bullshit freaking Sweden, their old player. He never raped anyone. They don't have anything on him. Look what they did to Chelsea Manning. Bradley, whatever, that confused fuck. But answer me this. You saw those collateral damage videos? You've seen them on the internet. Everybody's seen them. You saw that mass murder, just a video game, just to kill. That's what set Edward Snowden up, according to the movie. He started to see that footage. Just indiscretionally fucking not just killing a so-called person that they were picking up surveillance on, everybody in the vicinity. When they dropped that bomb, there were people all over. They just went indiscretion. They bombed Doctors Without Borders twice. Huh. Wow. So, you didn't want to believe me. Will I ever be told? Already been told. I told it. It's all over the internet. It's just the internet. Yeah, it's just fire. It's just the will. It's just electricity. It's just nuclear bomb. That's all. It's just the internet. The most powerful genre in human history. Edward Snowden said in Park City, well, the only thing, we're out of thread. I watch lots of internet. He watches YouTube videos. I know that for a fact. Hope it gets to him. Hopefully maybe his wife can say something. He knows. And he knows that I know. He knows the entire dynamic of Fukushima. He knows the cover-up. He knows all of it. Is he going to say something? We'll see, huh? We'll see. Is somebody inside the CIA and NSA ever going to break ranks and say something? We know the media is not. But I got news in the NSA and the CIA and all that. You get cancer, too. You get cancer. The emperor's dying of cancer. Hillary, her thyroid, my guess, just like the USS Reagan troops. Same old Samo, huh? Radiate your freaking man and cover it up. In the name of what? In the name of what? Snowden says it best. This is nothing more than freaking globalist elites' parole mechanism. It's not for counterterrorism. It's not because they're the terrorists. It's to freaking keep freaking the herd, Orwell, under control. To keep the fucking powers there be in power. That's exactly what it is, and they've gone amok. These powers have run amok. TPP, NAFTA, freaking the whole globalization has gone completely amok. They're out of control. The madmen lost control. The madmen lost control of Fukushima, and they can't shut it off, and Obama made them stand down. So, what time have we got? We're getting close. So, but, they can come after me all I want. We got a little bit of time left. Do you have anything else to say, Claude?
No.
So, the truth's out there. You can accept it or not. Did they blow it? I don't know that they had to blow it. Was it a coincidence that we know these programs exist? We've known for a long time. We've known they have all these reactors wired all over the world. Look, you don't have to drop a bomb. Oh, did a nuclear bomb go off? Hiroshima, Nagasaki? I used to call it the nuclear vagina, the nuclear triangle. Chernobyl? Russia, Japan. I've started painting that and going off in that thesis in the 90s. So, sounds like I'm going to get cut off. My battery's going dead. God, it's been a long night. It's been a long day, but wow. This movie's going to rock the boat in a big way. It's going to open it up. It's going to open it up. It's no coincidence Snowden was there all winter, and he leaves right before it blows. Right back to frickin' Maryland. Then he goes to, after he resigns, because they knew they had to have him. They knew he was the guy. Did they play him? Like a bad fiddle. Oh, they played him. There's no doubt in my mind. I wish it would have been somebody besides the Guardian that he dumped it to, but it is what it is. Of course, who are you going to go to? RT? They've been reviewed. They won't put it up. Who are you going to go to? Al Jazeera? Oh, they crashed them. Who? Al Gore's freaking network? They have nowhere to go. I wish they would have came to me. Like I said, Andrew Bizzo and I's work in the early days on Fukushima Beach. I can tell you watch that movie. Watch that movie. Oh, we built it. Andrew built it on $3,000. With my advising. It's better than Oliver Stone's movie, I can tell you that. We did it for free and put it on YouTube. Oh, it's just the internet. It's just YouTube. That's just fire. It's just penicillin. It's just nuclear. That's all. That's all. It's just the wheel. It's just electricity. Yeah, that's all. That's all it is. So I hope he gets it, and hopefully somebody inside the NSA can grow a freaking set of balls, and somebody in power inside the Navy. And I hope these three judges do the right thing in Pasadena and let this thing bust wide open. Because Janice ruled in our favor. And they keep the pill on the pill. And we're going to, they allow cameras in the courtrooms in California. And these depositions, they can try to hide it. It's all going to come out. And this lawsuit's not against, remember, post-Fukushima, Toshiba and Westinghouse merged. Who owns the reactors there? They do. Hillary Westinghouse Clinton used the word Westinghouse like 35 times in her last speech. I thought Westinghouse was a private company. Yeah, right. Just like he says it. Snowden says it in the movie. He says the revolving door between... Dr. Scheer says it perfectly. Nobel was here. Word Perfect was here. Omega was here. U.S. Robotics was in Utah. They hijacked it all to Northern California. He says, oh, please. This is Dr. Scheer's words. The NSA and freaking, this is Gustav's words. All of them. All that knows is the nose. It's all, the NSA has total control. Barack Obama stood at Harvard on Friday the 13th and turned the internet over with an executive order to Homeland Security. Look it up. February 13th. At a private institution at Stanford. By the way, Bren from Google didn't even show up. Apple did. So we know that they have total control over all of them. They got it, and he come out. Even Wolf Blitzer has freaking reported it after Snowden made the dump. They have total control over Apple, over Facebook, and look at Facebook. Sheila's head of CEO of Facebook, and Survey Monkey, her husband's killed in Mexico, Trotsky to the head. He says, he fell off the treadmill. Four Seasons comes right out and says, what are you talking about? He was never even on our property. They canceled the shareholders meeting at Walt Disney. How old is she? Who is she? Zuckerberg, Sugar Mountain, Facebook, Sound says the whole thing. It's all surveillance, but I go right at them. I was a good wrestler when I was young. They want to leverage, I let them over leverage, then I pin them. They want to come in. Why do you think I've been so exposed on the internet? I'm like, they want to go after me? I'll just overexpose myself. They'll know everything 10 times because you can't hide from them. Say, I'm not going to use Facebook. I'm not going to use YouTube. I'm not going to use a cell phone. Doesn't matter. They still got you. They got you. They got satellites in the air, and he supposed it. They have a dossier on every single human being on Earth through a computer system that Edward Snowden built. He built it. He built it. He didn't know he built it. He didn't know that's what they were going to use it for, but he built it, just like Aaron Swartz. He was young and naive. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Remember, he was still pro-Bush freaking war machine. Colin Powell lies in front of the UN. He learned the old-fashioned way, didn't he? But at least he stood up. It's more than the rest of these no-balls fuckers got, because that's what they are. Because they think they're above it. They don't think they can get cancer. Let me tell you something. The young congressman in Japan, in Hawaii, look him up, 41 years old, died of leukemia. There's so many of them. Now Hillary's sick. I wonder why. Obama didn't go. Him and the CEO of Westinghouse and General Electric flew to South America, where his family was already at. Well, he stood on the White House lawn and gave the biggest lie in human history. It's safe. The plume's safe. I want the American populace to know what I know. That's what he said. Well, I got news. You just refuse to freaking accept it because I'm the one that told it. In detail. Pull back on me all you want. I don't care. I don't care. I will quote Noam Chomsky right to me. Kevin, you keep doing what you do. Don't you worry, these people going at you. It took me 40 years before anybody even knew my name. Of course, he's an MIT guy, too. It's a long, hard path in the streets. It just had to be that way. So, stay tuned. Throw up videos. We'll see how this plays out. See how the CIA and the NSA handle this. See who Oliver Stone really is. Do I trust him? Not really. Do I trust Edward Snowden? Oh, hell no. The whole thing stinks to high heaven to me. The whole thing smells. But that one piece of the movie exposed everything I needed to know. That's all I needed to know. That's all. That was the one piece of this puzzle I needed to fit. That's what he was doing over there. Just a coincidence that one it blew? Just a coincidence he left right before it blew? Just a coincidence he ends up in Hawaii? Just a coincidence that he sneaks out and dumped at the Green Wall? Huh. Why the Guardian? I'm glad that they did it because I guess nobody else would do it. At least they did it. At least Cranwell did it, but he'll never release any more. Neither will Julian Assange. We'll never see any more out of there that means anything. They keep saying we have this, and dangling it. Here, Rover. Here, go get the stick. But they never release anything of any substance. And just like the emails, I says, they're all the cover-up of Fukushima. Sure shit, they come out to the cover-up. Hama wrote most of them, Sam doing it.
Aussie skateboard.